Welcome to another episode here in Movie in a Nutshell. This movie opens in Berlin during World War II. Adolf Hitler, together with his behavior coach Keppel, discusses proper greetings and laments that people have abandoned the Nazi salute. Hitler insists people at least raise their hands to show respect. He recounts his actions to destroy Germany's enemies and is troubled by the current state of the nation and his own mysterious presence. Suddenly, Hitler wakes up on the forest floor, confused. He glances at the sky and notices no enemy planes, guessing they've departed. A bouncing ball rolls toward him, and he walks towards a building through the brush. 3 kids approach, concerned, and Hitler thinks of them as the country's future. He asks for directions to the street. Nearby, journalist Fabian Sawatzki is filming the children, and Hitler appears in the background. Hitler picks up his army cap and sets course for the bunker. On reaching the street, he marvels at people with monowheel bikes and how everyone seems obsessed with taking photos. He touches a modern car, wondering if he was unconscious for years and missed a victory. Unsure of what's happening, he decides he must gather more information. He tries to ask a stranger about the location of the chancellery, but the person snaps a photo instead and others flock to do the same, confusing Hitler further. Distressed by the chaos around him, Hitler concludes that something has gone very wrong. When he tries to ask a woman on her phone about the date, she panics and sprays him in the eyes, making him stumble away in pain. Next, Hitler enters a newspaper shop. He's stunned to see the headline dated October 3, 2014, and he collapses in shock. Meanwhile, at a television company, the boss Karner congratulates Sensenbrink for his work, but promotes Claudia Bellini to managing director instead. Upset by the decision, Sensenbrink scolds Fabian, a struggling filmmaker, and despite Fabian's explanations, he is fired and escorted out by guards. Back at the newsstand, Hitler dreams up conspiracies, suspecting that the shopkeeper is part of an enemy plot, before threatening him, only to be calmed with a bar of chocolate instead. Hitler has difficulty opening it, finally smells it, and calls it a pressed grain product, asking if bread is still scarce. The owner wonders if a documentary is being filmed, mistaking Hitler for an actor, but Hitler insists he's the real deal. Hitler then notices a Turkish-language newspaper, asks if the German paper Stürmer is available, and is told there are more Turkish customers now. Surprised, he collects information from the papers and laments post-war leadership, concluding the war was truly lost. Fabian, meanwhile, reviews his own old clips at home, feeling sorrowful over losing his job until his mother notices Hitler in one video. Fascinated, Fabian becomes determined to track him down. Back at the shop, Hitler is told by the owner to step outside and wash his dirty uniform. He obliges, going to a laundry and asking for another uniform since he doesn't want to walk outside in just undergarments. Later, Hitler returns to the shop now dressed in jeans and a sweater. Fabian finds him and is again amazed at the resemblance. Fabian asks to record Hitler exploring modern Germany, and Hitler agrees to participate. Using money and a car borrowed from his mother, Fabian begins their journey. At a hotel, Hitler is impressed by the television and decides to discuss politics in Fabian's upcoming segment. They survey people on their political thoughts. After these interviews, Hitler recognizes that not much has changed. There's political bitterness reminiscent of the 1930s. Some complain about immigrants, allowing Hitler to express his old and divisive views. Fabian asks about Hitler's distinctive mustache, and Hitler explains he trimmed it that way to fit a gas mask. At a farm they visit, a dog bites Hitler, who reacts impulsively and angers Fabian by firing at the animal. With their cash depleted, Fabian comes up with a plan. Passers-by pay Hitler for drawing sarcastic sketches, which people find amusing. They earn enough to continue their journey. Back in the city, Fabian shares footage of Hitler with Christoph, who is amazed by the view count when Fabian uploads it online. Christoph asks for Hitler's contact details, and when he meets Hitler, suspects he's unwell and asks Fabian to take him away. Before leaving, Hitler proposes to Bellini, the director, that they save Germany together. Interested, Bellini instructs her assistant to design a TV segment featuring Hitler. Fabian pushes for his job back, threatening to leave with Hitler if not reinstated. Christoph gives in, making Fabian a kitchen worker with the promise of future promotion. Soon, Hitler is set up with a desk at the TV studio, and Kromier helps him learn to use a computer. Hitler is impressed by modern computers but frustrated someone already registered his name, so he opts for New Reichschancellery. Christoph, still bitter about his own mispromotion, arranges for Hitler to appear on a live comedy program, hoping to embarrass Bellini through Hitler's controversial humor. On air, the host invites Hitler on stage. The crowd falls silent as Hitler ignores the script. Instead of telling an immigrant joke, he criticizes trashy TV shows and highlights society's real problems like joblessness and poverty, warning that disaster looms. His unorthodox stand wins over the audience, who applaud. Hitler's popularity skyrockets, and Bellini wants more appearances. Frustrated that his plan failed, Christoph watches as Hitler becomes a sought-after guest on various shows, claiming he wants to make Germany truly great again. Hitler soon meets political figures and party leaders, easily charming them with his rhetoric. At NPD headquarters, he confronts the leader Ulf Bern about their lack of progress, accusing the party of wasting decades. Christoph's mood improves when the police and district attorney arrive, investigating hate crime complaints at the studio, but the DA surprisingly allows the shows to stay on air. Kromier later gives Christoph a bill related to the dog Hitler shot, which Christoph sees as a potential scandal. On another TV program, Hitler is grilled about his wartime actions, and the infamous dog video is aired, scandalizing viewers. Hitler reacts by threatening the interviewer, which makes Christoph happy as this damages Hitler's reputation. Bellini, blamed for the backlash, is fired and replaced by Christoph as manager. Hitler moves in with Fabian, bemused by fate, and pens his second book, which quickly sells well. 3 months later, the television company suffers heavy losses. Hoping to recover, Christoph wants the comedy show host back, but learns he has quit. At a staff meeting, someone suggests bringing Hitler back on air, and Christoph approaches Fabian with a deal. They can make their film if they let the channel broadcast it. Hitler and Fabian visit Kromier's home, where Kromier's grandmother recognizes Hitler and denounces him as a war criminal. Outraged, she orders him out. On the way home, Hitler makes anti-Semitic remarks, deeply disappointing Fabian. Back at the studio, Fabian asks Hitler to reenact his unexplained reappearance. Hitler can't recall the details. Later that night, Hitler is attacked by thugs who blame him for Germany's situation. He wakes up in a hospital with Bellini at his side. Fabian, meanwhile, analyzes his earlier footage and notices Hitler appeared out of nowhere in the woods, close to the historical site of the Führer bunker. Fabian rushes to the hospital but is told Hitler is back on set. Fabian tries to convince Bellini that Hitler is genuine, but she doesn't believe him, and Fabian is chased off by security. Fabian confronts Hitler on set with a gun, demanding to know the truth. Hitler insists he never pretended to be anyone else. Fabian accuses Hitler of misleading people, claiming that his propaganda is dangerous, but Hitler says he was elected because people already agreed with his ideas. Fabian leads Hitler onto a rooftop and declares him a monster, but Hitler responds that the German public entrusted him with power by their own choice. Enraged, Fabian shoots Hitler, who falls from the building, but soon hears Hitler's voice behind him again. At that moment, Bellini calls for a cut, revealing the confrontation was actually part of a film shoot, with an actor playing Fabian's part. Afterward, Hitler reminds everyone to honor their lost comrades. Elsewhere, Kromier mourns for Fabian from behind the mental ward window. Meanwhile, Hitler and Bellini attend fan events, giving autographs and interviews. As they pass on the street, people enthusiastically greet Hitler. To support Movie in a Nutshell, subscribe, activate notifications, and leave a like. Thanks for watching.